Hey, what's up, my friends? Welcome into Vision Pros Live. We are diving in deep into what most e-commerce brands get wrong about 3PL partners. If you're in warehousing, fulfillment, transportation, you're looking to launch products, this episode is going to put you 5, 10, maybe even 20 years ahead. We got Dave in the house who's an expert with this stuff. Dave Gulas, thank you so much for joining me here on Vision Pros Live today.
Hey, thank you for having me, Jackson. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is an area that I almost never get to talk about. I've done some things in manufacturing. I've got clients who ship supplements and things like that. But in reality, there's so much that I can learn about this process as well. I want to make sure that we're not just catering though to people like me who are kind of newer and on the outsides of this. I want to make sure we're diving deep into the people who need this most, those who are right in the heart of figuring out their 3PL partners and what they can get out of it. We're going to dive right into that so that we don't make any noise and lose any opportunity to uncover what most brands get wrong when selecting a 3PL partner and what most e-commerce brands are kind of overlooking when they're choosing them. Let's dive right into that, Dave. What is a 3PL partner for those of us who don't know, and how do you choose it? Let's keep the shorter segment on what it is and move right into what are they overlooking when they're trying to find the right partner.
Yeah, so what they're overlooking, the biggest mistake brands make is just seeing it strictly as a cost center, as an expense, and commoditizing it and thinking that all 3PLs are the same. When the reality couldn't be further from the truth, where the 3PL you choose as an e-commerce brand literally can make or break your business.
Okay, so what you're telling me is the universal principle of if I buy cheap, I'm going to get cheap. It can apply in this reality, but also like I should be looking at certain standards. What are those? What are the standards I should look for in a great 3PL partner?
Well, yeah. So the people behind the 3PL are what actually make all the difference. And there's just so the audience knows, there's literally over 10,000 of them in the U.S. alone. So there's a lot, and it's very easy to confuse that if you're not used to shopping 3PLs, if you haven't dealt with 3PLs in the past, to really think all that are the same, and then to commoditize it. But they're literally going to be an extension of your business. Literally, they're going to be your warehouse, especially if you're self-fulfilling right now. You have a warehouse, you have staff, you are used to managing that inventory in-house. When you outsource that to a 3PL, they literally become part of your business. So when you pick the wrong one, it can literally sink the ship. Or if you pick the right one, it can literally allow you to scale and achieve the objectives you want by outsourcing that.
Shoot down what I say next if it takes us into left field. I don't want to do that. I had a motorcycle parts company working with me. They were a client of ours several years ago. They were doing $20 million per year in motorcycle parts, and their distributor ended up cutting their rates, their cuts that my client would get by 90%, almost overnight. Completely changed the cost structure on them. Does that relationship have anything to do with 3PL? The things like that happen in the 3PL world, or am I off in left field?
90% I've not seen. There's certainly unexpected things that happen. We could dive deep down the rabbit hole of horror stories of what can happen with a 3PL or with the wrong 3PL. I hadn't heard specifically a 90% increase, but like you said, that's like a business critical blow that would be tough for anyone to absorb.
Yeah, no, it crushed his survival instincts went through the roof. And next thing you know, everybody was on the chopping block, and it was a very nasty reality and situation. So I guess things like that can happen. Let's dive in a little bit further on 3PL partners. So again, what are some of those principles? You talked about team. I don't want to overshadow that, my friends. Team is one of the most valuable aspects that I look for as well when it comes to website providers and SaaS providers as well. The world of websites and SaaS is moving super fast. You can't predict who's going to be ahead next year anymore. It's like it's moving too fast. But what I can look at, who has a great culture, right? Who takes great care of their people? Who abides by the same types of principles and values that we have, and that matters tremendously to me. And I try to treat my SaaS companies like StreamYard here. StreamYard's a platform. I could treat it like a platform, but no way. Like I want to build a relationship with their support system. I pay a little bit of money every month, but if I tap into support learn from them, and see how we can maximize our relationship with StreamYard, that can lead to all sorts of opportunities. So I imagine the same type of framework exists with 3PLs, or am I getting off in left field?
No, and it's actually interesting you brought that up because I did a lengthy post on this maybe a month or so ago, and it was really about small business versus big box legacy business, and the stark contrast. But I not only mentioned 3PL, but one of the areas I see it with is SaaS providers, particularly with companies we use, meaning. Like a mistake that it's very easy for people to make is thinking bigger is better, meaning a big box name, a legacy name, a big company that's been around for a lot of years is automatically going to be better. When in reality, so often that breeds complacency. There becomes a lot of bureaucracy. They stop innovating. There's a culture of people just want to, maintain the status quo versus when you compare that to small businesses, newer companies, startups are scaling, the level of service you get, founder-led companies, the level of service and execution you get from these teams that are hungry for business, that want to create a positive customer experience, that actually care, where they don't just have employees that are literally just punching a clock, that are going to take weeks to do something that could be done very quickly. I mean, I literally have seen that happen. And so I did a post just to call that out and just to say I see a shift happening where customers no longer care. They care about the people behind the brand. They're not just going to automatically support this legacy brand if they're not getting the service that they deserve.
Huge, absolutely. And this applies again. Once it's so neat how these principles apply to all of our industries. My friends, if you want to see a big box company that has gotten complacent and that's overlooked the value of their customers, look no further than Bank of America or Wells Fargo. The same exact type of reality happens. And so I hope they don't hire hitmen to come after me after saying that. But in reality, there's a lot of smaller banks out there that we could be working with that were really eager to have our business. And sure, are there challenges with that too? Of course, there's pros and cons in every situation. We take a risk every time we go outside, right? But we can't be scared of the risks. We've got to really evaluate what are the things that will help us with moving forward our brand. So when we come back, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, Dave's going to dive into one of his top secret discovery realities of how you figure out, Dave, which 3PL partners you want to work with, and then we'll shift gears from there. We'll see you guys on the other side. All right, welcome in to Vision Pros Live with Jackson Calame. I'm your show host. We will be doing interviews for visionary entrepreneurs and guest leaders who are building fantastic visions out there. Hey, what's up, my friends? Welcome into another episode of Vision Pros Live. I'm your show host, Jackson Calame, and I'm so excited to have Dave Gulas in the house. We get to talk about things that we don't typically talk about in relation to vision, the behind the scenes infrastructure, especially for physical products. We're talking warehousing, fulfillment, and transportation. I'm going to see if I can get Dave to dig deep into his catalog of secrets to help us with 3PL partners and even systems beyond that. This, again, it's a little bit outside of my scope, so I'm hoping Dave can continue to reshift my focus on some of the things that are most important for those who are working in physical product industries and beyond. So before I bring Dave back on, I also want to give another series of resources to each of you. Nobody pays for these sponsorship opportunities, by the way. These are just brands that I freaking love and I want you to be aware of. So we're going to start with AI Mavericks. And this is going to seem so contradictory, but I'm hoping that everybody who watches this understands that there's power in collaboration with competition. So AI Mavericks is the AI baby of Austin Armstrong and Scott Simpson. And I have joined this as a paying member because I want to stay by the best of the best in the AI world, because I can see the shift is dramatic and everybody's talking about it still years later. Why? Because it is changing the game. We want to be ahead of that change. So I highly recommend joining over there, what they're doing. And I would recommend in this reality, don't look at this like I need one gym membership. No. We're talking about the wave and the future of education. So while I'm in AI Mavericks and building with them as well, and I love the way they've constructed this program to help me continue to take things to the next level, we also recently launched last week the AI Marketplace. If you go to ai.firstclassbusiness.io, we also have another angle. While AI Mavericks is helping me on some of the deeper advanced level stuffs like creating agents in AI, meaning like computers that do the work beyond just giving you great advice. We've launched the AI marketplace to help professionals and business owners realize that you already are AI experts. You just don't know how to tap into your AI expertise, but you've been using AI for decades yourself. If you've ever set up email automations, if you've ever curated a playlist in Spotify, if you've loved and rated businesses online, if you've reviewed them or you booked online reservations, you have AI skills that need to be on your resume. They need to be on your LinkedIn profile, and you need to know how to interview for those in order to protect your job in the future. And business owners, there are bottlenecks that AI can solve like that. For instance, I build websites for my clients. It takes me about 5 to 10 minutes to generate an incredible website beyond what they already have. And it takes me a couple of hours to pull it all together and to get it implemented these days. You no longer have to spend 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 on setting up your marketing the right way when you are taught how to do it correctly. And when you are working with strategists, our AI platform is about teaching leadership skills, communication skills, because the better we can communicate emotional intelligence and our what do you call it? IQ, our regular intelligence, with AI systems, the better your outputs are going to be. And it is driving so many companies off a cliff right now. There's so much bad reputation out there now. Again, look at these big box companies that have tried to implement AI too early, and you're stuck on hold, or you're trying to chat with somebody and you can't get a hold of somebody. And now you're hating that brand because they've done a poor job of implementing AI. If your brand is not investing billions like those companies are, please don't assume you're going to have better results in there. You've got to learn the basics of AI and how to make sure to create productive and profitable AI systems. Right now, we have the founding members cohort open. For 50 founding members, it's either $50 a month or $500 for lifetime access. You heard me right, $500 for lifetime access, not just 1 year. And beyond that, after the first 50, we'll raise the price to $100 a month. So I look forward to seeing you in that. Come and join us. Help us build out the future of what AI looks like. And then there's the Water Project. The Water Project is near and dear to my heart, my friends. This is something that when I saw these kids celebrating water like my kids celebrate Christmas Day, I just couldn't ignore it. And we've got millions of people on this planet who don't have access to clean drinking water, and we can do something about it simply by giving $10 to $20. If you do that, what's neat is you get to pick the project that you want to support. You get to see that project come to fruition. They will email you and show you the results that they were able to drive for that community, and you get to bless generations by committing to that. Now, if there's another cause that you'd rather see us support, just drop that cause in the link. Again, back to collaboration with competition. There's so many projects that we could help on, and there's 8 billion people in this world that we can help. And as long as I'm going to rock the mic for my profession, I'm going to do everything I can to try to inspire others to give back to these underprivileged communities. And so if you aren't in a financial position to give back, please don't ignore this message. Instead, share it with somebody else, because you may be the catalyst to help somebody be able to fund one of these projects. And that would be a huge opportunity to bless other people's lives. So without further ado, we're going to dive right back into helping each one of you with your visions and with your success. Dave Gulas, thank you so much, man, for being here.
Hey, thanks, Jackson. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, Dave, you get an honorary membership to the AI marketplace. And so we'd love to see you come join us as a leader for being on the show.
Would love that,
yeah,
man.
Let's enjoy it. So if that benefits you, fantastic. If it doesn't, my friends, I never want anybody to be busy because it leads to being broke. If it's productive and it leads to productivity, fantastic. And so, Dave, maybe we'll see you there. Maybe we won't. Keep crushing it, though. Let's dive right into one of your top secret sauces. What would it be, Dave? Go ahead and put a framework around it and just I'm gonna let you talk, because I'm not educated enough in this space to really guide you down the path that you know your customers and prospects need, but you are. So let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, this might sound like common sense if people are not are not like in knee deep in this industry, but you would be surprised. I mean, to just literally take your time and do a full deep dive when you're vetting out your fulfillment partner. I mean, you'd be shocked at how many people just want to email and say, send me your pricing. And we don't ever just do that, right? Like we get on a discovery call first and foremost. And then when I say, hey, let's hop on a call and I even understand if we're even a good fit for each other before we even get to pricing, they say, no, just send me your pricing. And it's like, well, we're not the right fit. But so to just take your time, to your point,
and I know it sounds like such common sense, and it kind of is, but my friends, I'm going to call out every single one of my clients for the last 4 years at least. Not a single one has called references. Not a single one. Even if some of the best leaders in the world aren't even doing it, I bet most of you aren't doing it. I call my references like every time. I'll go call if I were wanting to work with Dave, I would call the 3 references he gives me, and then I would go to his testimonials and case studies, and I would assign a team member, and I would tell the team member, look, I need you to go and find the contact information for 3 to 5 of these. Go to AI and ask it what questions you should ask them in order to not waste their time, in order to get the most out of this. And ask them if Dave's legit. Find out if they're actually having a great experience. That's literally what I go through when I want to consider hiring or recruiting somebody. I don't see it done though. So to your point, Dave, almost everybody's skipping it and joining the get rich quick club. But if we want to get great results and get out of the fake get rich quick club that doesn't work, we need to take a deep dive and find out. So that's one thing that I do on the deep dive. What's one thing you recommend people do on the deep dive to figure out who they're supposed to work with?
Well, again, it's got to be a great fit on both sides to not only have the discovery call and then dive deep into every aspect. So I'll give you an example too, because most of the calls I have are with people that are coming from another 3PL that they're not happy with. And probably the number one reason, I mean, it's either poor customer service, lack of response, or slow response time. But the other bigger one is the software. They don't have the right software, meaning I don't want to get too deep in the weeds for the audience, but there's something called a WMS, which is a warehouse management system. So it's a critical piece of software that a 3PL needs to have. So when we were launching, we hired a consultant beforehand, and he said, listen, you can't even open up your doors without a credible WMS in place. So that's what we did.
Good.
When we get out in
Let's
the market,
dive deep on that, Dave. My audience that's not in this, like that doesn't get this space, it's okay. I hope you can see the universal parallels. I can. I want to go dive as deep as you can.
Okay, so we get a WMS, and that's a whole. We actually got the wrong one in the beginning, and so we went through a couple to find the right one. But my point being too is when I talk to these other brands that are shopping 3PLs, I'm floored by how many 3PLs out there don't have a WMS. They're still tracking inventory on spreadsheets, or they have one that's archaic and old and doesn't even connect to Shopify. Like, I don't even understand how you can be serving e-commerce brands when Shopify is the premier player out there, when you don't even have a direct connection to Shopify. So, I mean, I hear that time and time again. So I guess my point being too is if you're going to select someone to outsource your fulfillment to, like, that's table stakes. It's making sure they have the right software, that it aligns with your business. Because again, we get on calls, and if they're in a different niche or they have a workflow that we don't support and it's just not the right fit, we say it's not the right fit. My team doesn't even want to get involved in something that's going to be with a bunch of manual work and it's not the right fit, the right workflow. So it's having that open and honest conversation on the front end. Like, is there even alignment here? Is there even a good potential partnership before we even get down to price? And there's numerous other things to discuss before you even get to price. But it's starting with that, having a call and really going deep on what the business is, what the workflow is, what the 3PL is, what tools do they have, how does it all fit together, and is it even a match?
I love that. And guys, what you just heard Dave talk about from a WMS standpoint applies to every single one of your visions related to CRMs. Everything that he said, just replace the acronym WMS with CRM. You're in the same boat. You need the exact same types of solutions and strategy going into it. So let's dive even deeper, Dave. So Dave, Easy DC 3PL is your brand. Tell me about the vision for Easy DC 3PL and your vision for your clients moving forward.
So when we started the company, I was coming from pharmaceutical. My partner and I were coming from pharmaceutical industry, and we were looking for another vertical to get into. He had just bought a warehouse and didn't know what he was going to do with it. So that was we were trying to figure out a company to start with that. And we knew several e-commerce brands that were having problems with their 3PL, meaning the orders weren't going, they were getting poor service. And it was coming off the tail end of COVID, which I think there's a big reason for that. Meaning, when the supply and demand for e-commerce warehousing got completely imbalanced, I think that
Mm.
accelerated a lot of complacency to where there was so much business falling from the sky for those brands, for those 3PLs rather. So many of them got complacent, and next thing you know, the service dropped, the
Right.
standards dropped. They were just used to all this business falling in their lap, and we were seeing the fallout from that with numerous e-commerce brands. And
Yep.
our experience from the pharmaceutical industry where we were at, it was on the secondary market dealing with independent pharmacies. And what that means is, they're competing against the Walgreens and the CVSs of the world. So they're just fighting every day for their life to stay in business. Everything goes overnight, everything is urgent, and things go wrong all the time. So as a provider to those companies, it's just automatic that you're used to solving problems on the fly, you respond fast. Stuff ship today windows are as late as 6 p.m., which is late in that world. You're always kind of in touch. You're going to have problems to solve over text, and you always need to make sure stuff's moving. I mean, that's just kind of automatic. If you're going to survive in that world, you have to be able to provide customer service in that way. So for us, we're just so used to that. And then when we saw the type of complacency we saw within e-commerce 3PL, we said, we'd be great for this because we know how to service customers. We know what small businesses want. We're willing to do the work. We understand kind of the people on the other end. Why not just start a 3PL? So that was really the genesis of the company. And we just jumped in and did it. And then we began the process of figuring out everything we didn't know,
Right.
all the things we needed to learn. And yeah, we just kept doing the work and kept getting better every day. And here we are 3.5 years later.
I love that. And my friends, that this is not something that I would say requires a degree. I don't have a degree. For those of you who don't know, I started as an integrator more than a visionary. I didn't even know what that was, but basically I wasn't ready to launch my own brand. And I wanted to tag along with a great visionary. And in fact, I just wanted a job at Google. And so I ended up getting into a company that was a startup. And I learned about websites and SEO way back in 2010. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up, I then went to Restaurant Connect after we ended up raising $10 million with that company. Then I went to Restaurant Connect. I had never worked in a fancy restaurant. We were servicing fine dining restaurants with their dining room management softwares. I didn't know what a deuce was. I didn't know what an expo was. I don't drink alcohol, so I didn't know anything about the restaurant industry. And here I was learning that. And next thing you know, within 2 to 3 years, I'm training the masters here in Augusta, all 7 restaurants on hospitality. And we're training Kiwa Island Golf Resort and integrating the hotel software with the restaurant software so they can see their reservations and streamline bookings and all of that. And my point for all of you that are visionaries or maybe on the integrator side, get involved and use your integrity. Dive into values, virtues, diligence, determination, working hard, understanding that the types of people that you work with, the types of people that you want to belong with long term, all of those can help propel you. You can learn the realities within an industry. And we're going to do that right now. I saw a blog post you had on that website, Dave. It talked about final mile delivery. And I was like, ooh, that sounds like a KPI. Or that sounds like something that's easy to overlook when you're first launching. What's final mile delivery and how do you make sure that you crush it?
Yeah, so final mile just it's an industry term that refers to the last carrier touch, the last transportation touch before the product reaches the customer. So meaning like from our 3PL, everything is going final mile because we're shipping out UPS, USPS, other carriers, and it's all going directly to the customer in most cases, to the end 3PL consumer. And then there's also a freight component, but that's the real thing that we do with the final mile. And I mean, as far as crushing it, it's kind of a culmination of everything else we talked about. But so often it's having the right workflow, the right people, the right systems in place to where you can get a lot of order. And again, right, every e-commerce brand, right, wants their customers to be happy. And what do customers want in this day and age? They want their stuff quick, right? So they want it to place an order and they want to know that it's shipping. We have a same day cutoff, but if it doesn't go same day, it goes the next day. So they want their stuff quick, and we want to deliver that. And then, of course, having the right systems in place for everything to have a smooth final mile delivery That's what we want. And even with all that, things can go
Love it.
wrong. UPS can make a mistake, of course, but we want to do everything possible to deliver the right experience with everything we can control.
I love that. That goes hand in hand, my friends, with the book Raving Fans by Ken Blanchard. Is one of the best books on the planet for helping you understand how the customer journey works out. And so this last milestone, we have to think about that in terms of all of our brands. Is how do we make sure that the touch points, anybody who has to touch our product or service, our billing, whatever it is that we're doing, how do we make that process as smooth as possible so that it's fast, and I would say reliable as well. Those two factors, they apply to every single industry. And if it's not going to be fast, then simply, my friends, I got the trick for you. Just set clear expectations. If it's going to take 3 weeks, let them know it can take 3 to 6 weeks. Don't put yourself in a bind where you're over promising and under delivering. Most people are willing to wait if they understand that that's part of having a quality experience. So let's dive a little bit deeper, Dave, into things that maybe we didn't plan out for this agenda. So what, if you were sitting in front of a room of 100 people who were, let's call them, ideal client profiles, people you could serve really, really well, what would they want to know about that's in your head, in your hands, in your strategy?
Well, yeah. So if I'm talking to a group like that, I just want to let them know who we are, what we do, who we're a fit for, and who we're not a fit for. So, for instance, we're located in Central Kentucky. We can reach 80% of the company within 2 days ground, so very fast delivery. We are a young company.
80% of the company or 80% of the country?
Country. Did I say company?
Okay.
Yeah,
A little bit.
80%
You're
of the
good. Country. We got it.
Yeah, 80% of the country within 2 days ground. We are a young company. We're 3.5 years old. We're continually growing, but we have a solid team in place. We specialize in direct-to-consumer Shopify sellers, typically that are shipping between 1,000 and 10,000 orders a month. That's our sweet spot. We work in industries like beauty, nutritional supplements, home goods, books, that sort of thing, smaller type items that can go within a parcel. And yeah, we care about delivering an outstanding customer experience, and that's our mission. And the team is bought into that, and that's what we focus on every single day.
Okay. Very good. And what are some of the companies that wouldn't be a good fit?
You want me to? Well, I mean,
Not a specific company.
oh,
Sorry. What are the sizes, or like, for instance, in my
I'm
case for
sorry.
marketing, like I wouldn't probably be the best hire for any blue chip stock, Apple, Google, etc. Like, I don't know how to run $1 billion budgets. That's not my specialty. I play a lot smaller than that, in the 1.5 million to $10 million range. That would be my max. I would feel very out of my league if I went beyond that.
Okay, yeah. So, for instance, anyone shipping products that are big and bulky and heavy, that's not something that we're good at, nor do we want to get involved in. Anyone that's exclusively or heavily big box retail. I mean, we do a little bit of that, and we've done some of that in the past, but it's certainly not our sweet spot. As you get into bigger brands, they all tend to have a B2B component. So sometimes you kind of have to do that if you're going to service all of the brand's business. But in general, like, we've had people come to us and say, listen, all my business is between these 10 retailers, and there's no direct to consumer business. And right there, it's just a non-starter, like that. We're not the right fit for that. Because then you're 10 different routing guides, you're all sorts of, there's companies that specialize in that, but that's not us. So we focus on the direct to consumer stuff.
Let's bless and release that audience real quick, if you don't mind. If we're big and bulky, you may not be able to give an exact, like, oh my gosh, you should go with these guys, but who would you recommend exploring?
I mean, again, you can put that in AI and find that out. There's companies that specialize in big and bulky, and they'll tell you right up front. So I mean, it's not hard to figure that out, and then you can get a short list of people you want to talk to depending on your area.
Who's on your short list, though, Dave? I got to find that out, because I can do the same thing with AI for marketing. And here's why I'm challenging that. AI will drive you off a cliff real fast. And so having AI, but also having an expert to kind of vet. I'll give an example. If you could work with anybody in the world right now besides first class business and what you do, I would say get into Virgin Startups with Richard Branson, 100%. I mean, I haven't worked with him, but like, the guy is on point. You couldn't get better guidance than probably what he's up to. But if you don't qualify that, come and talk to us. like you should come to first class business. I wouldn't go anywhere else. You might try 2x.co. You might try that. They might be great. You might try Gary Vaynerchuk's VaynerMedia. I don't have any problem talking about that because of the scale that we have, but I do want people to know that if you go to AI, you might end up with some really, really awkward results just because people who may have gamified that system. So feel free to bounce those off of me and Dave as well if you come up with some results. But Dave, who would you recommend on the Big and Bulky side?
Yeah. Okay. So there's a company called Growth Catalyst Group, GCG. So they've got, and I've referred business to them. They've taken care of, some
Oh, cool.
leads that we've had, and yeah, they've got millions of square feet. They've got something like 20 plus warehouses nationwide. So they're a big company in terms of size, but they don't operate like a complacent big box competitor like we were talking about earlier. So yeah, I would say give them a call.
Cool, man. Thank you for that. And let's talk about scaling brands, and what brands that are scaling need to understand before outsourcing fulfillment.
Yeah. So again, it's if you're picking a 3PL, right, and you're at the point where you want to outsource, I mean, I guess have a longer term vision and talk about all the points, not only the software, the team, their capacity, their ability to scale, where are they going, references like you mentioned. Funny you mentioned that too, because we've had not percentage wise, it's probably less than 10% of the customers that we've brought on have actually wanted references and checked references. But the ones that have ended up being the best customers.
Yes.
So meaning they take their time, they're serious about this. You really can't ask enough questions, and you really can't. I mean, obviously, and our typical sales cycle is several months, so it's not a like a quick decision in most cases, but for just the ability to actually talk to someone that's and to know that they called and followed up. And I always, if they're even asking me, they're going to talk to them, and I usually get feedback that they have talked to them and that they had a good call and that type of thing. So yeah, all those things, and just having a long-term vision about it, and really understanding that the person you choose is going to be your partner in your business. So, and it truly is a partnership. Um, so, and again, you talked about setting expectations too earlier. Like we want to set expectations on both sides. So not only what they expect from us and what we're going to deliver and what we're committed to, but on the other side too, we want people that are going to understand their business, provide us with the right information, follow our routing guide, adhere to the terms of the agreement. Both sides are going to do that. But all those things are so important, and to truly see it is as a partnership that you strategically decide, and not just a cost center where you're trying to beat someone up or just choosing strictly based on price.
This is huge. This is so applicable, visionaries, to every single component, industry, and vision. As always, this goes down to marriage as well, in your own personal lives. These are all pieces of due diligence that are super helpful for setting healthy boundaries and ensuring that you get the best results possible. I'm going to speak to that through a couple of different truths. One, it reminds me of when I was working with Restaurant Connect, and we were working with Fonda San Miguel in Austin, Texas, and they were a top 50 restaurant in the world 30 years running. And we were also working with Uchi Restaurants, which at the time was 2010. They were nominated for top 10 most important restaurants in America. And so here we were working with two restaurants that could easily see themselves as competitors. And they kind of knew it, and they were in the same region within a 2 mile drive of each other, maybe 3 mile drive. And I took Ben Kachila from Uchi at his request after calling Danny, who is the manager of Fonda San Miguel. I said, hey, can I bring Uchi by? They'd like to see what you're doing with the system and how you're using it and how you guys are operating, and exchange some ideas with you. Would you be cool with that? And Danny from Fonda said, absolutely. So Ben and I go to his competitor in person, and we start talking with them about their operations and how they're using systems and what they could get out of it, et cetera. And Ben does the coolest thing. As we're getting ready to leave, he says, hey, Danny, here's a $50 gift card to come to Uchi anytime. Bring your friends and family, and we'll take good care of you. And that classy move of realizing that, again, we're competitors, but we're collaborators. We can still get along. We can still help each other out. This applies to any industry. So not is it only doing your reference checks, but it's also making sure that you're creating opportunities at any point in time. Danny, and it's been 16 years? Maybe Danny and Ben decide to launch their own restaurant because of that experience collaborating together back then. My friends, it's about moving on from a scarcity mindset where we're scared people are going to take things from us and moving into an abundant mindset of I want to find people who are going to help uplift me and move me along this path. Dave, you've been a really, really great example of that. As we've talked from last time to this time, I've seen that hold true. As we get ready to wrap up, any final thoughts that you'd like to share? Any final words of wisdom for all visionaries out there? Any truths that we just didn't discuss that are burning on your chest and you're like, man, I want to say this?
Well, you mentioned collaboration. That's so interesting too, because in the pharmaceutical industry where I came from, everything was so cutthroat and competitors were just everything, there was a lot of scarcity mindset within there, despite the fact that it's, I don't know how many $billion of an industry it is. But when I came over to logistics, one of the things that was so refreshing is it's such a collaborative industry. And I'll go to these industry conferences, and some of my best friends are literally competitors, but yet the best conversations I often have are with other 3PL owners, where we literally talk about our challenges, what we're dealing with, how we did this or that. And I couldn't agree with that point more about collaboration and of course how you tie that into an abundance mindset.
Oh, I love that. I'll give one more example, my friends, because this exists in any industry and maybe you still don't see how to apply it to yourself. But I was working with Nautical Dental in San Antonio. They're one of the best dentists in that city now. Well, they were. They just needed some marketing built for it. But we got to a point where I could no longer provide the value that I had told them that I could provide. And so we were in the offboarding processes, and they still had a lot to do with growth. But I said, look, here's what I recommend you do. Call the best performing dentist in Florida, New York, and over in California, and ask them if they will form a mastermind with you, because you're not going to compete with each other anyway. And so just tell them we want to share our ideas of what we've done. We'd like to know what systems you're doing. You will uncover more systems, more processes, more things that you could do without my presence than if I were to try to do everything myself. So go ahead and do that. And so they were like, oh, I'd never thought about that idea. And they did it. And naturally, it has helped them flourish. When we learn to collaborate like that, guys, it allows us to explore formulas and realize frameworks and opportunities that we may not have ever come across before. And so always look at the opportunity to collaborate with others. Dave, I will say that if I end up in this space where I'm like, man, we've got, I don't know, physical products coming out. We've got clients who are, well, if we got clients who are, that's easy. I already got a couple that I want to connect you with. But if I'm looking at the idea of, hey, I might want to crack into this industry and see if there's an opportunity, you're the guy I'm calling. You're the guy I'm gonna be like, Dave, I would like for you to be the leader on this. Help me see what I don't see, and let's get ready to bless lives. But my friends, you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to be the pioneer who figures it out. In this case, Dave is the guy who's cracked the 3PL code. He's a guy that's understanding how to help in manufacturing. If you're, as he talked about, in the space of smaller products and 1,000 to 10,000 per month, Dave's one of the first people I would go and interview and say, hey, can you help us with our growth? So you can go to easydc3pl.com and you can find out more about what he does. You can connect with him on LinkedIn as well. And my friends, if you want to come share your vision on Vision Pros Live, in the top right corner, there's a button that says Be Our Guest. You don't have to be the king of 3PL to come on the show. You might be starting your vision out from scratch. But Dave, final words of wisdom or final invitation, and we'll wrap up from there.
Yeah, like you said, connect on LinkedIn. Happy to talk. And if you're looking for 3PL, want to know more, even if it's not us, I can always point you in the right direction depending on your situation. And man, Jackson, I just want to say, love your energy, love what you're doing with the show. And yeah, for everyone, all the visionaries out there, keep believing in yourself and keep making it happen.
Thanks, brother. We'll see you all in the next episode. Take care, visionaries. Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision.